Year 2005. I was going through the darkest phase of my life. I had dropped out of college, and my pockets were empty. In a tiny Montana town called Blackwood, jobs were scarce. So, when I landed a night shift at an old grain elevator on the outskirts of town, I took it as a blessing from God. The structure was built in the 1950s, a massive monolith of concrete and iron, standing tall amidst miles of desolate frozen fields. My boss, Mr. Henderson, was a rugged, tight-lipped man. He gave me only 3 rules. Never open the main gate after midnight. If you hear noises from the generator room, don't go in, just report it in the morning. Most importantly, don't let the isolation get to your head. At the time, they seemed like simple rules. I had no idea that the third one would be the hardest to follow. My shift started at 10 p.m. and ended at 6 a.m. My cabin was a small wooden shack about 50 yards from the main structure. From there, I monitored the grainy CCTV footage. Back then, cameras weren't high def. They were flickering black and white shadows. The first few nights were mundane. When the Montana winds whipped through the iron pipes, it sounded like someone sobbing in the distance. I'd sit at my desk, reading old paperbacks or trying to catch static signals on the radio. But on the 5th night, everything changed. It was about 1:30 a.m. A heavy blizzard was howling outside. Suddenly, Monitor 4, which faced the lowest level of the silo, the basement, showed movement. I leaned in. There was a shadow. It wasn't stationary. It was crawling slowly from one corner to the other. My heart hammered against my ribs. I figured a stray animal had gotten in. I grabbed my heavy flashlight and checked my belt. With trembling hands, I stepped out into the biting cold that instantly numbed my face. As I entered the silo, the heavy iron door screeched, echoing through the hollow hall. The smell inside was putrid, a mix of rotting corn and damp earth. My flashlight beam cut through the thick dust motes as I moved forward. I reached the stairs leading to the basement. Every step made the wooden planks groan. As I descended, the temperature plummeted. Suddenly, a voice whispered, "Mark, Mark." I froze. How could anyone know my name? No one was there but Henderson. I swung my light around. "Who's there?" No answer, just the soft rustle of grain trickling from above. I told myself it was just the wind. I scanned the basement, but it was empty, except for one thing. In the middle of the floor lay an old leather work glove. It looked brand new, as if someone had just dropped it. The next day, I sat in a local diner and asked the townies about the silo. The moment I mentioned Henderson's grain elevator, the cafe went dead silent. An old man put his coffee cup down and stared at me. He told me that in 1980, a horrific accident had occurred there. A young laborer named Samuel was buried alive under a mountain of grain while cleaning a tank. It took them 3 days to dig him out, but it was too late. The most chilling part? Samuel's left hand was never found. The final shift. I didn't want to go back that night, but Henderson threatened to call the police, claiming I'd stolen equipment. I had no choice. It was 3 a.m. The blizzard was peaking. Suddenly, the entire silo lost power. Even my cabin's backup generator failed. I was plunged into total darkness. Then, a knock came at my cabin door. It wasn't a normal knock. It sounded like metal striking wood. I held my breath. Through the frosted window, I saw a silhouette. He wore the old blue coveralls of an 80s worker. His face was blurred by the fog, but one hand was in his pocket, and the other was missing. The figure turned slowly and walked toward the main silo gate. As he reached it, the heavy iron door, secured by 3 locks, swung open on its own. I don't know where the courage came from, but I ran after him. Perhaps I wanted to prove it was all a hallucination. The moment I stepped inside the silo, the door slammed shut behind me. The silence was deafening. My flashlight battery was dying. The light began to flicker. Then I heard it. A whistle. A low, mournful tune coming from the top, near the massive grain bins. I climbed the iron ladders, my heartbeat thumping in my ears. When I reached the summit, I saw the hatch of the main tank was wide open. A man was sitting on the edge. He slowly turned his face toward me. There were no eyes, no nose, just leathery, desiccated skin stretched over a skull. He held out his only hand. In it was the same glove I had found in the basement. "My work isn't finished." His voice sounded like dry leaves scraping together. I lunged for the stairs, sprinting down like a madman. I don't remember how many times I tripped or how many bruises I sustained. I just wanted out of that darkness. When I reached the gate, it was locked from the outside. I threw my entire weight against it, but it wouldn't budge. That's when I felt it, a cold, freezing hand resting on my shoulder. I closed my eyes and screamed with everything I had. Suddenly, the morning siren blared. The first ray of sunlight pierced through the high vents. As the light hit the floor, the pressure vanished as if it had never been there. I quit that very moment. I didn't even ask Henderson for my paycheck. A few weeks later, I heard the silo burn to the ground in a mysterious fire. People said it was a short circuit, but the strange thing was, the fire started right inside the tank where Samuel had died.